high school teacher?
Yeah, I was a middle school teacher.
Okay.
Before I was an actor. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was a school teacher. I taught EMD, emotionally disturbed children.
Okay.
A lot of them had, were juvenile delinquents and that type of thing. I had a particular connection to that because I was pretty much the same way when I was younger. So I felt like I understood my students a great deal. But, in a way, I haven't really left teaching because I do a lot of motivational speaking around the country. And, it's one thing that I enjoy what I do as an actor. But, it's entertainment, but sometimes you get a chance to really affect people. And I think it's one of the things that someone came along when I was kind of at a bad time and changed my life, so I felt like it's very important to keep that going for other people.
I imagine one of the things that probably changed your life was discovering martial arts.
Well, yeah, the martial arts was something that has benefited my life even to this day because a lot of times people think about the martial arts and they think about the fighting aspects of it, which is really not what the martial arts are about. What's special about it is the discipline that it teaches you. You're overcoming obstacles every day you get on the floor to train, and then in life you got obstacles that you have to overcome, and it's all mental more than anything else. I mean, you just the mental just drives the physical beyond sticking points, and that's really what it's all about. So I mean, that's something that, like I say, improves my life to this day.
So how did the acting gig come about for you?
Well, I enjoyed acting. I've been on my own since I was 14, and I just enjoyed just studying people. I was kind of a people watcher, and I guess I had this ability when I would talk about stories to friends or whatever. Everybody kept saying, "Wow, you just kind of became the person that you were talking about." And so I guess I had this kind of ability to portray other people without really thinking about it, but I didn't take it serious. I did it for fun. I took some courses in college just for fun, and later when I became a teacher, I kind of like started going out for roles in the off time, and then after a while you get to realize, hey, let me see if I can do this for a living. Let me fail or succeed, whatever. I just need to get this out of my system. So luckily, I got positive reinforcement that told me to continue.
And I imagine some of your mimicry helped you portraying your first big role was Mike Tyson?
Yeah, and it's really about, like, anything is about really understanding somebody from the core of who they are. Some people have a gift of really understanding the humanity of another person. I feel like that's the greatest thing about acting, is because a lot of us form our opinions based on things that we've seen on television and movies. I mean, even as a kid, you may form your opinion about a lawyer, about doctors, anything else, even though you might not have even met one, and or just other people from other countries and stuff. And so I feel like it is a great responsibility of an actor to really portray humanity correctly and honestly. I mean, because it's really, to me, I haven't left teaching when I look at it that way. It's really something that informs us all about each other.
And Tyson's a complex guy. I mean, he's got the achievements, but he also got all the tabloid things about him. What was it like portraying a guy like that, where there's so much? I mean, I understand he had like a really horrible childhood too.
What was that?
Mike Tyson?
Oh yeah, well, Mike Tyson. It's funny. I mean, I guess I can admit this, that when I played with Mike Tyson, there was so many parallels between his life and my life. I was this martial arts champion from the age of like 16. I was fighting grown men and winning and being put in the paper, and so I kind of understood what it was like to be this youngster who grown men looked up to, and it kind of gives you this power that you're not really worthy of. But it's a strange thing in this country. If you're a pugilist, if you're a fighter, you're a celebrity among celebrities. Like if we had Robert De Niro, Barack Obama, and whomever, some nuclear physicists all in a room, and then Mike Tyson walked in, everybody would look at Mike Tyson. There's really something really strange about that. These other people who affect everyone's life will look at this guy who just basically beats the hell out of somebody, and they all would gather together and talk about Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? So that's something that's really interesting in this country, and it's really a male thing. It just shows that men are always kids to some degree. Because I remember I was talking to the former mayor of New York, and he was regaling me about these Mike Tyson stories. Oh, I met Mike Tyson, and he was having a hot dog, and the way he put his mustard on, I'm like, what? you're like the mayor of New York. It's like it's crazy. It should be the other way around. But it's an interesting thing to learn that early on, and then to understand where that needs to be in society. Some guys need to grow up.
Was Tyson the only boxer you played? Because I think I read somewhere that you played like Ali, I think, in like a Hong Kong show or something.
Well, in China, they sent me over. They were doing the Legend of Bruce Lee, and it was a television show that was in China. And they wanted me to come over, and they said I'll be playing a boxer. Well, then when I get there, they're saying there's this boxer that Bruce Lee idolized and tried to emulate and everything. I'm like, you mean Muhammad Ali? yeah, exactly. Okay, you're telling me I'm playing Muhammad Ali, so okay, you could have told me that a little earlier. The guy is like one of the most famous people who ever walked the planet. But that's how I found out, like when I was on my way to set, that I was playing Muhammad Ali.
And then from the early boxing roles, you moved on to your first comic role, which was Spawn. And were you a comic fan growing up?
Well, kind of a comic fan. I mean, I dug Marvel, I dug the Hulk and all that type of stuff. But I wasn't really up on Spawn when I first got the audition or the meeting for Spawn. It was, I gotta say, I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I was set to do Mortal Kombat and play Jax. And it was going to be, it was the Mortal Kombat, the second one. And it was going to be told from Jack's perspective. And it was going to be more like, I don't know if anybody knows Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah. It was going to be from that perspective. Jax was going to be the lead, and he was going to call attention to all the weirdness before, he was going to be like the liaison for the regular audience, and it was going to be a comedic type of thing, whatever. And I already had the role. I was the first person cast, and I was just, just really happy about it. And then New Line said these people from, Spawn want to have a meeting, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm just happy that I'm playing Jax, and I go in there and I meet these people. Oh, Spawn, yeah, whatever. Oh, cool. Yeah, well, it sounds good. Guy from hell. All right, cool. so, and then the next thing I know, like a week goes by, and a friend calls me up and says, hey man, I have an audition to go in to play Jax. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? That's my character. I'm already cast. And he's like, no, I got the audition. Another buddy of mine got it. And I'm like, what's going on? I call my manager and he says, well, you got good news. You're gonna be Spawn. I'm like, you mean that meeting I went to with the guy from hell? And he's like, yeah, it's a great thing. I'm like, yeah, but I wanted to play. Can I do both? And I couldn't do both. But and then sadly, Mortal Kombat, the second one, kind of they changed the script back to what it was. but it looks like I'm gonna get a chance to play that Jax character anyway.
You did the whole clip series, right?
Yeah. We did. That was a little gutsy. We pulled some stuff together. It was myself, Kevin Tancharonen, and Lorno Stovall put together the video. I don't know if you guys saw the Mortal Kombat Rebirth, but we shot that for $7 grand and did it in 2 days, and affected the whole brand to change. At first they were like up in arms. They're like, they're using the Mortal Kombat symbol and everything. We're gonna sue them. Like, how many hits? And so, I mean, that's when I would encourage everybody. If you got a vision, seek it out, just follow through with it. I mean, because you can change things. Because the status quo, the people who are running the studios or whatever, they need your help. You got to just show them. Sometimes you try to expect some guy that has no imagination to get it, and and all the tension of like job security, threatening him, he's not going to get it. And sometimes you just have to like make the horse drink.
And you went to actually a pretty decent studio movie, probably your most successful comic book movie, The Dark Knight, where you play Gamble.
Oh yeah, that one, yeah.
And you got to act most of your scenes against Heath Ledger. What was it like acting with him?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let me dispel any rumor that Heath Ledger was walking around in character and one of those like, what do you call them,
Method?
Yeah, method actors. Nothing of the sort. Cool guy. We were like goofing around. As soon as you yell cut, he's goofing. We're trading like magic tricks and all kinds of little stunts to see how many quarters we could snatch off each of the elbows and stuff. And I think he beat me in that. But he was just totally like just the coolest and not like intense type of. He was un-Christian Bale. It's like it's the angel and the devil. But no, Christian Bale's one of the greatest actors who ever lived. But he's super intense. He's like, I think he schedules laughter. Laugh on Wednesday.
And then you also did some comic book inspired voice roles, and you've got a very distinctive voice. What was it like doing voice acting?
It's weird because you come in and they say we want you to do a voice for this cartoon, and a year and a half later it comes out and you're arguing with your own friends that say, aren't you're the voice of Green Hornet? I'm like, no, I'm not. So I swear that's you. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, I did do that. I mean, you actually forget, because I would do this voice acting stuff, and it was real. The studio was really close to my house, and it's like, are you available on Wednesday? Sure. And I just know I'm going to go in and do something. And, later on, you don't remember like a year and a half later, or it's just me.
And of course, you were talking about changing the studio's vision for yourself, and Black Dynamite was one of those things where, if I understand, it started with you just getting pictures taken, dressed up as the main character?
Well, it started, I was doing a movie called Undisputed 2 in Bulgaria, and I'm listening to my iPod, and I've got like an eclectic mix of stuff, and on comes James Brown's Superbad, and on the way to the set, I dreamed up Black Dynamite. And I get to set and I'm like laughing to myself. I'm thinking about this character done in the 70s, and and with all that body count and craziness, and ending with like a nunchuck fight scene with Richard Nixon. I can't concentrate. I'm laughing my ass off all day, and I'm like telling the director, it's like, hey man, and then it was like, and he's like, can we get this? Can we shoot this? But I get back home, and then I literally get a costume, the exact costume I wear in the poster. I rented that costume, and I took pictures, and then the gun and the nunchucks was the template, because I'm like, see, if you look at it, it looks serious, but it's ridiculous. And that's what I wanted the tone of the movie to be. On the surface, it looks serious as hell, but when you really look at it, it's like, oh my God, this is insane. So that's where it started.
It's obviously a lot of Blaxploitation films, and like you said, the greatest things about those is they're ridiculous, but they own the ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's just so layered, because I mean, it came from like a political time. There was real stuff going on. This distrust of government and the Black Power movement, and from the oppressive decades before, And so there was this overcompensation and black power that reflected in the movies that I thought was hilarious. Because I mean, there was these bigger than life heroes I grew up with, like the Mac and Superfly, and then I'm like, yeah, and then I got to be an adult and I'm going, weren't they pimps? What's a pimp? This is interesting. You know what I mean? So that kind of started the whole consciousness of it. I'm like, we grew up, like making pimps heroes. This is something to be exploited.
What was it like writing the script with Byron Mims?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Byron's one of my best friends in the world, and it's like some people you have this chemistry that I don't care if we're at a wake, there's something funny that's gonna come out of both of us. It's like you got your friends that no matter what your creative juices flow together that way. But as serious as we seem to be, we're too goofy individuals.
And then you've got like a whole host of like funny and famous people to be in your film. What was it that drew them to the project? I mean, because I don't know how big of a budget you guys had.
Oh yeah, we had a small budget, but I mean, I called people up and I went through all kinds of Blaxploitation movies, and I pulled out little gems of craziness and brought every actor to my house and said, this is what I'm doing. And just so they really understood it, because a lot of people felt like, okay, they understood, okay, yeah, it's the bell bottoms and everything else, but they're dead serious. Like one of the biggest movies was 3 the Hard Way back then. They combined 3 of the major action stars at that time. Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, and Fred Williamson. And that movie was a dead serious movie. And what was it about? It was about this evil Dr. Feather emptying like a couple of liters of water into the water systems of Chicago, New York, and I believe
it was Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit, yeah. And it was going to kill all black people. This was a serious movie, right? You see what I'm saying? That's freaking hilarious. They were dead serious. These were grown-ass men in a movie that was about that, and that was like, yeah, that was cool. Yeah, that was happy. No, it's nuts. But to actually shoot it and actually, be serious about that whole thing. When you look at just look at like old movies or sometimes when they talk about like, they got it's 1989, the future, and there's flying cars. That shit's hilarious when you look at it now. So it's kind of like taking a step back and kind of encapsulating that time and really making us focus on it. It brings out an organic funny.
And then you had you went out this long experience marketing the film too, because you guys took it to Sundance, got your distributor there, and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't. I would have liked to done a lot more of the marketing after the film was done, because one of the things is, and that I've learned is like you create this brand and you sell your baby off to people who don't completely understand it. And even though you tell them, look, this is what this is created for this type of audience, and do you guys know how to reach this type of audience? Do you even understand this? And they understand. Oh, this is funny. But the studios thought that it was too highbrow for inner city audiences, and they thought no, this is a college audience thing. I know it's a much broader audience than you think. You just have to know how to market it. And this is one of the lessons I've learned, is that now, when I structure things, I, want to be part of the marketing as well. That's lesson learned.
How did the Black Dynamite animated series come out?
Well, yeah, the animated series came out as a result of the movie. Carl Jones, who was really the driving force behind the Boondocks, approached us about doing an animated series. And I had already done some voices on the Boondocks that I'd forgotten a year ago. So you know, we already knew each other, and I knew his talent, and I just thought it made too much sense.
Okay, and it's the first series wrapped. Are you guys in talks for a second?
Oh, absolutely. It's just like Carl Jones and Monica Jones, his wife, were the hardest working people I've ever seen in my life. We were making changes the week of airtime for this season of Black Dynamite. We were severely understaffed, and Carl Jones was, I mean, he and his wife were working till 4 o'clock in the morning, like constantly. And so now that this first season has been you know, a success, we're gonna, you know, hire more people and do it right. And I think you would really enjoy the next season because we really know what to do now.
And speaking of sequels, you've also started talking about what you're going to do after Black Dynamite. And I hear something about Blazing Saddles.
Well, see, that got a little confused. Like very much like Monty Python, there's a crew that we have, and there's in that same group. And when I first had the idea of Black Dynamite, there were 3 movies in that genre we were intending on doing, and one of them was kind of like a Blazing Saddles meets Bucket the Preacher kind of a thing, but it's not Black Dynamite 2, but it's kind of almost the same cast, if you understand. So like just back in the day, like you would have Jim Brown playing Slaughter, but he's also playing another character, and you know you have Fred Williamson who plays, you know, Black Caesar, but he's also that man Bolt, and it's pretty much like the same character, and it's the same feel and humor and everything.
And didn't like Jim Kelly play like a Native American in one of those films?
Yes, he did. I think that was I forget the name of it. Byron would kill me because Byron, my co-writer, he's an encyclopedia of all Blaxploitation. I think that was 3. It was like another kind of 3 the Hard Way.
They're in a bench or something like that? Or?
What's that?
I'll
come up with it like when I'm going back to my hotel room and you'll hear me scream really loud. Man, what's the name of that movie? I can see it, but I can't think of the name.
And then I also understand recently you've acted, you've written, and now you're directing too?
Yeah, I've directed. I've directed a few different things, but I mean, I directed Never Back Down 2, which is you know, this MMA type movie.
I really like that movie.
Oh, yeah, that was a cool experience. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
And the other thing I was curious about is Tyler Perry, not known for action movies, but he's worked closely with you, and now he's doing action movies.
Right.
Influence?
I don't know. I'm sure Tyler wants to get out of the dress. You can't blame him. I mean, you know, yeah, it's like, yeah, go for that. You want to, like, you know, it's about a marathon, not a sprint. So, I mean, I'm sure he's tired of, you know, the drag thing. But, you know, you're not going to see me go that.
That's all I have for you, and open up the floor to questions.
Question. One, is it Michael Ja? Because I hear it both ways. Is it Ja or Jay?
Well, Jay's the wrong way.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah. It's Michael Jai White.
Ja. Thank you. And another thing, was there anybody for Black Dynamite that you really wanted to work with, but maybe couldn't get at the time?
There were a few people whose schedules didn't work.
Okay.
And some people who thought about it but wasn't quite sure, who now are like knocking down the door for the sequel.
Right.
I can mention a couple of people, but I've been threatened by Dave Chappelle that if he wasn't in the second one, that he's going to shoot me. Actually, Gene Simmons was supposed to play Raffelli.
Really?
Yeah, but he was doing his reality show, and it just didn't work out. But you know, that would have been interesting. Yeah, there's a few other like cameos, and I've got Wayne Brady, who's also threatened me. Yeah, Anthony Anderson threatens me about once every couple months.
So you're doing a sequel, or?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. But you know, there's the other renditions of this crew. It kind of plays as a sequel in a way. You know what I mean? So it's kind of. You would look at it as a sequel, but not.
Well, Blaxploitation went through lots of other genres like horror and westerns and stuff. So
Actually, yeah, absolutely, it's like Blackula. You know, like there's some interesting areas in that whole time period. There's a lot of stuff in Black Dynamite that I didn't get a chance to do that that I'd love to do in another film.
Yes. How you doing, Mr. White? A couple questions for you. You indicated that the Dark Knight or the Batman movie that you were in, the relationship that you had with Heath Ledger, he was the opposite of what everyone perceived him to be, and then also with Mr. Christian Bale. If Marvel were to approach you, because I heard rumors that they were looking for Luke Cage, certainly seemed like the guy to be absolutely play that role, and I've been hoping that they would cast someone in that role, and it would be you. Would you take, since you've already been in a comic book film, would you be reluctant to take on that role, or would you be joyous to take that role?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would take Luke Cage. Yeah, I mean, it's Marvel. They decided to do the thing because I mean, it's talk. But in Hollywood, let me tell you, I have been Charlie Brown trying to kick that football for years. You know what I mean? So you get a chance, you know, you get accustomed to like talk is talk, you know. But it'll be nice, and you know, if they make those decisions based on the fans out there, then I'm always impressed. I hope that they're connected to the fan base and connected to common sense anyway.
They seem more so to be than DC, but you have some pull in Hollywood. I'm hoping you can
Yeah, I've sat with them. Actually, after Black Dynamite, myself and the director, Scott Sanders, we met with Marvel, and they were it was a few years off between when they were talking about doing their the Luke Cage and Black Panther stuff. So but we spoke to them early.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's one of your favorite movies that you've been in?
Well, there's some favorites and there's significant movies. The Mike Tyson story really put me on the map. It's one of those things where if I didn't do it correctly, oh, wait a minute, you're like,
He's never seen that. He's never seen that.
Right, yeah. How old are you?
7.
Okay, you're 7 years old, so you may not know who Mike Tyson is. It was this boxer that, he's this boxer that everybody knew, right? And if I got it wrong, everybody would know that too, right? And so I had to really get it right, and so that was significant. But of course, Black Dynamite, because it's a thing that came out of my head. That's kind of my favorite character or favorite experience, because it's kind of like when you're doing a movie, you're leading a movie, you've got so many elements that are there to make you look good. You've got the makeup, you've got editing and the direction and stuff. But when you create something, it's just you. And so when you have an idea and people like your idea, it's really very personally satisfactory, because they really like what you've come up with, and there's not much help that you have in that department. So that's the most gratifying.
In the back. Howdy.
Howdy.
I heard you were going to be in a TV version of the Heavy Metal magazine, airing sometime in France. I was wondering, How awesome is it looking, and is there a chance it'll come stateside?
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I was in France and in Paris about 3 weeks ago for the premiere of that. We say metal Herlon,
Yeah.
but that they don't say it like that there. It's like it's hello. You know, and you get a sore throat doing it. But it's kind of a big deal out there because it was called metal Herlon, and then here it turned into heavy metal back in the 70s. And it was kind of like a series, a little like Twilight Zone, like this kind of Mondo crazy world type stuff. But it's doing very, very well over there. But I'm sure it's coming out this way.
Yeah, back.
As a martial artist, who were your martial artist influences like Jim Kelly, and who would you like to work with, Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, in the future?
Well, yeah, my martial arts influences were, there was a guy that, if you're a martial artist, you might know Bill Superfoot Wallace, and then recently the late Joe Louis. There was a Joe Louis that's a boxer, but this is Joe Louis that was a world champion heavyweight martial artist, and I got a chance to train with both of them. I've actually trained in Beijing with Wu Bin, who's Jet Li's teacher, upon occasion. So I'm a very, very fortunate martial artist to train with so many great people at the top of the art. But I would love to do a movie, with any of those top guys, like Jet Li or Jackie Chan. Or my personal favorite right now is oh my God, I'm getting old.
Mbaka?
No, I like the Mbaka guy, but Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen to me is doing it is the best right now. Donnie Yen keeps evolving. He gets, he starts. I mean, he's an amazing martial artist and choreographer, but he continues to do cutting edge stuff. And so I think, I really like his the things that he's doing on screen, and I would love to work with him.
First of all, thank you for coming to Detroit. Glad you came in. The Black Dynamite DVD for the animated series, is there going to be commentary on that?
I don't know.
Please?
That's good. I mean, maybe you guys have gathered that I just kind of just go along. But yeah, I'm just like, I do a project and it's just like kind of like point me. Okay, I know that this is something that's Adult Swim. Adult Swim is like kind of steering, but that's a good question. I mean, literally, your question might it's probably going to have me call later on.
Cool, man, just to hear you guys' thoughts. I mean, talking about bullhorns, rhymes. I mean, that's got to take forever just to write some of it.
Well, you get used to it, and it's you start thinking like that. Yeah. But I mean, Byron does a lot of his own. He's a writer as well, so
he's clever.
Yeah. Bullhorn's my favorite character. Hey, to be honest, he's my favorite character. Yeah.
Thank you.
One of my favorite movies of yours is Undisputed 2, directed by Isaac Florentine.
Right.
And I had heard earlier this year that you were going to do a new film with Florentine.
Yeah, that's kind of loosely in the plans to do. There's a series called Codename Falcon that I'm intending on doing, and hopefully it'll work out that Isaac and I will work together again, because I really enjoy working with that guy.
He shoots action incredibly. Is it expected to be more of a martial arts series or gunfights?
This is actually a movie that would put you in the mind of Taken meets Man on Fire, and with Born Identity things in it. I mean, this is literally a movie that you could see Denzel Washington play if he knew martial arts. Yeah, so it's like you know, it's like it's Kung Fu Denzel is what it is. but the martial arts that is organic to this in the same way that, you know, the shooting would be in, or combat would be in Hurt Locker. It's just part of the whole thing, and the martial arts doesn't detract from the quality of what this is. It's really, honestly, it's one of the best scripts I've ever read in my entire career.
Wow.
When are you going to do it?
Next year.
All right.
Next year, bro. The plan is in January.
Cool.
Yeah.
We got time for like 2 or 3 more.
What's the one big film that you didn't get? Like the one big role that you were almost Morpheus, or you're almost, you know, somebody.
Oh my God, there's too many to mention. There's too many. There's so many. Like I said, you know, Charlie Brown trying to kick the football.
Right.
Man, there's goodness, I can't think of which one would be. I was close to a lot of them.
The one that you were like, man, I wish I would have got that one. I would have been great.
Well, there's something that was called In Too Deep years ago.
Yeah.
You guys know
LL
that?
Cool J, right?
Yeah. LL Cool J.
LL?
Yeah. You guys, like, you know, how do you know that? Yeah, but that role to me was something that I'm a real eclectic person. It was a character that could play like really like non-threatening to super threatening, and you know, everywhere along that line. It was a very interesting character that was dealing with like going in and out of different things, and I think if you notice, like my career is very eclectic, and then there's a lot of different faces that I have yet to show. And that particular character, to play several characters within that character, it was a movie about an undercover policeman that was really good at becoming different undercover characters, so much so that it started to affect his psyche, and he started to not know who he really was. It was a very deep character, and that's something that I was like, oh my God, I'd like to play a character like that. So I'm amazed that you guys remember that movie.
And, over there in the back.
Will Marcus and Angela ever get along?
Oh yeah, I mean, for better or worse, you were Marcus and Angela. Marcus. But just in case people don't know about For Better or Worse, it's a Tyler Perry television show that's on Friday nights on TBS that I play the husband and wife duo, Marcus and Angela. Incidentally, I play with one of the greatest actors I know, Tasha Smith, who actually in real life we were a couple, like 15 years ago. And we played this bickering couple, even though in real life we've never had an argument. But but it's a blessing that I get a chance to play this with her. And if you notice in this season, we get along a lot better. Oh yeah. So there you go. We stopped arguing. Yes. Yeah. So we're starting down the road of the Cosbys. We're heading the Cosby lane, so to speak. Yeah.
Final question? Yeah, go ahead.
Have you trained Capoeira, and who trained you, or who did you work with for the Capoeira that was never back down to?
Well, actually, the Capoeira I worked with was with Alex Mraz, who was in the movie, who I'm teaching in the movie, who's teaching me Capoeira. He's amazing at it. So I was like, hey, you do Capoeira. Let's make it like I taught you. And how does this go again?
Who was his teacher? Who trained him?
I don't know. I can make up a name, but I don't know. But he's an amazing, he's an amazing martial artist, actually. Incidentally, he started jiu-jitsu. He was learning it for the movie. And now he's like, while we're shooting the movie, he's like tapping out black belts. He's like an amazingly talented martial artist. He can fight and he can do it on the screen.
That's
Yeah.